Thank you so much, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it's absolutely brilliant to be here with you all in Abu Dhabi to kick off 2026 and bring in perspectives from the Hydrogen Council. Many of you are familiar. The Hydrogen Council is the world's largest and only CEO-led global alliance on hydrogen. And we're extremely proud to count Masdar as one of our active members, in fact, board members. And I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of the Hydrogen Council to congratulate them once again on their 20 very successful and impactful years in business, and especially from the hydrogen standpoint on their recent exciting deals with OMV. Well done and congratulations. Now, Mohammed already very eloquently kicked us off on the state of the global industry, and I will build on that. Now, let's be very clear. There's a lot of dynamic in hydrogen right now. There's a lot of noise. We all see the headlines, the conversations. We see it every day. And yes, there are challenges, there are concerns, there are bad news, there are project cancellations. And this is important, I say it in the same breath, and yet, the progress is clear. The global sector is moving. Those of you who are following Hydrogen Council's work know that we track every single publicly announced project out there to give you not our feelings and our hopes and our beliefs, but to give you hard data. And the hard data tell an extremely clear story. The global hydrogen industry has surpassed $110 billion in committed capital. That's 10 times growth in just the last 5 years, and 510 projects globally have now passed final investment decision and have gone into construction or operation. So that's real projects, real progress, and despite the challenges and concerns and bad headlines, the work is happening. Hydrogen is happening, hydrogen is moving. And it's not just the numbers. I came back from my little year-end break and I looked at the news. You know what was in the news? Major milestones on construction. NEOM, 90% complete. Beaumont, a large ammonia project in Texas, US, 97% complete, moving into commissioning. ACES Delta in Utah, 95% complete, moving into the next stage. Jupiter 1, a massive turbine now operational in China. Stegra, 60% complete. Lingen in Germany, targeting commissioning and full operation. So we really see it every day that these projects are happening, they're real, and hydrogen has really moved from ambition to delivery to building. Now, even all of these good news are in a way not good enough, because we need to go bigger, we need to go faster, we need to keep building, we need to maintain that trajectory that we've seen over the last 5 years. So the key question is, how do we do that? And because the Hydrogen Council is a CEO-led organization, we have the benefit of speaking with some of the global leaders in the space. 200 of them came together just last month for our CEO summit of the hydrogen sector. And they laid out 5 fundamentals, 5 to-dos, if you will, for us as an industry. The number 1 is demand. We do not need vague promises and signals. We need firm demand. We need targets. We need mandates. We need the hard things that get this snowball rolling, that lock in the business case, that get the industry off the ground. Second priority, policy. We do not need wavering. We do not need softening. We do not need doubts. We do not need brilliant theories that do not work in practice and in fact make business life harder. What we really need is clear, practical, durable policy direction so that unlocks capital. We build trust, we build consistency and continuity over time. Number 3, infrastructure. Very clear, hydrogen offers a new way of connecting supply and demand centers, and we should really take the opportunity to build out the infrastructure that will not only contribute to making our energy more sustainable, but also more secure and resilient. Nearly last, number 4, standards, a no-brainer. All of us in this room and outside need to speak a common language so we can define, verify, measure, verify, and certify the attributes of our molecules and do business on the back of it. And the very last one, but very much not the least one, partnerships. All of you, all of us, all of those who have been building hydrogen for the last several years, all of you who have actually made it possible. So my message to you is a very simple one. Please keep it up. Please keep building. Please keep that courage, that focus, that collaboration to make it happen. Thank you. And as you can see, I'm not going anywhere because I feel that I would not do you justice with just that little 5-minute executive summary. And I'm bringing reinforcements. I'm absolutely delighted that we will develop further on the topic, from ambition to delivery, from potential to profit. So please join me in welcoming our fantastic panel. I will introduce them in just a second. Let's give them a hand. Please, gentlemen, come on stage. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome some of the key practitioners and experts in hydrogen. Ah, there you are. Oh my goodness, you're arriving from the other side. Superb. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. All right, so 5 leaders, builders, doers who do not need much of an introduction, but let us take it in good order. I will warn everybody that we have 35 minutes sharp. So our challenge will be to convey that incredible, I was told 35, we're taking 35. So the challenge we have here on stage is to convey this incredible wealth of knowledge and expertise to you all. But let's start. Like I said, we're starting 2026. I understand the new trend is not to make a New Year resolution, but set an intention. People choose a word, a symbolic word that in their mind really encapsulates what the new year will be all about. So Horst, I will challenge you first. What is your word for 2026 when it comes to hydrogen?
I would believe it's ESAF, because that's basically what should have brought of us all here. So we travel a lot. So I think ESAF is really something that we need to be working on hard to meet the demand that's coming. And so my word would be ESAF, and push the development of ESAF projects to be ready when the quotas come.
Super clear. All right, I'm making a list. Cornelius.
Well, I think ESAF is a very good point. I think projects in general, projects execution, we need to build confidence, to create momentum, and to continue the path, which led us from 10 to 110 billion 5 years already. So continue the path and go towards a phase of more exponential growth.
Yes, because what better way to show that it's working than building it, right, Manuel?
My word would be consolidation.
Consolidation, all right.
I think what we will see this year is a consolidation on the project landscape, also on the technologies. And I even believe, from my perspective, a consolidation on the customer base is taking place. And that is not a bad thing, it's a good thing, because it will allow everybody to focus.
Focus, that's exactly right. Superb. Joaquin.
I chose 2 words.
Okay.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Don't think about it, do it.
Wow.
And we need to prioritize. I agree with all the other words, of course. We need to look into short-term uses, real uses of hydrogen and e-fuels, and then prioritize everything, infrastructure, subsidies, everything that is needed for the project to be done.
Super powerful. Just do it. I'm seeing the Nikes. Rafael, the last word on this.
I want to see hydrogen flow. Open the tap, think in terms of a chain from upstream to downstream, and unlock it so that it flows. Because if it flows, then all the companies that are doing something around hydrogen have a place to find and they can express themselves.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you all. I think this immediately opens up a number of topics. So just to summarize, ESAF as a massive opportunity, the projects, right, the confidence, the building, making it happen. Manuel, consolidation not as a bad news, but rather focus, right, streamlining, focusing. Joaquin, do it. Love that one. And Raphael, flow. I think that those are really powerful themes. So with your permission, let's go a little deeper into what this actually really means. And I'll start with the easy question. What is stopping us? What is stopping us from doing it? Where do you see the biggest challenge right now? Raphael, if I may start from that end.
I think that in a certain number of hygiene chains, we do not think super efficiently from end to end. Sometimes we completely forget that there's going to be a terminal, a landing point, a cracker. You think about, on the one hand side, the production, and on the other hand side, the off-taker. I think our Japanese friends have been very successful in thinking about that. If you look at the project that have been supported by the government, they really look at from the very top to the very end, and they look all around the chain, and then they look at where the Japanese companies are active and making sure to pick and support with public money only the project where it's really clear from end to end and with Japanese players all along the chain. I think that everybody should learn from that approach.
So that coordination, that structuring, the orchestration of, tell us more.
Yeah, I think what my colleague said, make it simple, look at it from a very operational point of view, and unlock it from having a pure industrial approach. Not just a question of vision of regulation. Make it happen, make it simple, and do not forget a single point. Too often, one part is missing.
That's right. Sometimes left arm does not know what right arm is doing, and that's where we have problems. So let's dig a little bit deeper, because I don't want us just to tee up the challenges. I really want us to also maybe propose how exactly that could be done. Do you have any thoughts? Do you have a brilliant idea on who should be doing this?
I'll take one example. I mean, we are here in the Middle East. Obviously, I'm from Europe. There is a EU GCC cooperation. A lot of players here in the region wants to sell hydrogen into Europe. They say, Europe, please aggregate demands. It's going to make it easier for the producer here. So you may know that Europe gathered via a platform all the potential off-taker. Guess what? They did not invite around the table people who have cracking capacities or jetties. Very simple, but I think this has been corrected. But in the first meetings, was not the case. This is a very concrete, simple example of how, it's like when you are going up a staircase and you just meet one stair.
Not particularly rocket science, but
no,
just needs to be done.
It's simple. So that's one example. If still not the case, then it should be tackled. I believe that over Christmas, they have re-engineered the design of their round tables, and that 2026 should show us some result on that end.
Fantastic. So new hope for 2026. Fantastic. Joaquin, do it. What's stopping us from doing it?
So I think I totally agree with my colleague. I think there are three main things that is stopping many players from taking decisions, investment decisions. One is lack of visibility of the demand. The word ESAF is pointing to one pocket of certain demand, but many players are lacking visibility of what is the market there and what is willing to pay for this, which is connected to the next one, which is uncertain regulation, because demand is not there, because mandates are not clear or could be changed, and they are not the right incentives. And then finally, the project-on-project risk. I mean, the value chain is very long, from the renewables to where you deliver the molecule, and there are some missing pieces that nobody is taking care of. In many cases, these are related to infrastructures. Now, could be midstream infrastructure, could be transmission lines, port facilities. So I think these are the three key elements. Very
clear. So where should we begin? And do you see any good examples, tools, solutions? What would you recommend we do to cut through some of that?
So if I think of each of the three, on the demand, again, let's prioritize and concentrate the efforts on those, let's say, pockets of demand that are available short-term, so not big technological changes. If we think about ESAF, it's a clear case. You can use very easily ESAF mix with jet fuel in an airplane today, and where the impact in the final price of whatever you are selling, in this case airline tickets, is negligible. So the green premium is diluted in the cost. So that does not require the big effort to make the hydrogen acceptable to the final consumer. And then prioritize also how you treat, let's say, the permitting and the public investment in certain infrastructure. So we had a lot of speculation around hydrogen, a lot of players trying to make easy money. And I think we should concentrate infrastructures, permitting, subsidies in those credible players who either have mandates, obligations, or who can make this happen, really. And with that, I think we can accelerate.
The low-hanging fruit where we can make an impact in the immediate, right? But I think it links very beautifully with what Raphael said, right? The concentration, the prioritization. Let's make a plan instead of running around and sort of waiting for each other. Manuel, if I can take it from there, consolidation is a good thing. But where are the challenges? Where are the difficult things? What do you believe is right now? What's keeping you up awake at night? The classic question.
So to build on what Joachim said, I think we lack consistency in the approach how we look over continents, in the approach how we develop the projects, how we manage the risk inside the projects, because there are still too many options on the table. And I think this effect of consolidation, which I appreciate, will help us to rule out some options and focus on how to resolve the issues that are really at hand. And one issue that we need to face it is also the total installed cost of the assets that are to be constructed. And that is something where the industry needs to deliver. That keeps me awake quite a bit, because we all know that the technology as it is today, with the risk that we factor in, comes at a price that is very difficult to place in the market. We are not necessarily in the money. But that doesn't mean we can't change it. But we need to have a very consistent approach on how to evaluate the risk in the technology, how to evaluate pricing, how to go to reasonable EPC prices, and then ultimately deliver that. And that is something where the industry now also has an obligation to show that it works.
What's the one thing that would help you sleep better?
Sorry?
What's the one thing that would help you sleep better? I understand the principle, but what is the specific action, or what is the specific signal? When you see it, you say, all right, now I get my 8 hours.
Yeah. So we need to accept what's possible. We have constructed meanwhile 140 megawatt of PEM plants and a gigawatt in execution in total. And that allows us to bring back now data from the field, from running assets and from assets in operation. So this is the silver lining at the horizon, because we are now at a tipping point where the first batch of, let's say, this first wave of subsidized projects gets into operation and gives us feedback on technology and execution on how to manage the risk. This needs to go back now into technology development, into how to deploy the project, and how to set projects up. And with this, we will manage to get significant risk adders out of the equation. I have more hopes that we are better in managing risk than we are getting cost out of the core technology, because it is what it is. But all around it, that is where I believe we can save a lot of money, which brings us much closer to acceptable total cost.
So with all of the data, we can make more informed and intentional choices, which will allow us to move faster and indeed make some savings on the cost side. Cornelius, congratulations on your new report. I had the chance to be there yesterday, a superb event. We already talked about the good stuff, but what are some of the challenges that you're seeing in your research?
Well, I think on consolidation, first of all, also the fact that the speculation is out and people come to a reasonable level of risk sharing. I think there were many opportunists that, just free ride, I want to make money, as Manuel said. I think the two big things where we need to jointly work on is, number one, green is actually not expensive. Gray is too cheap. So we need a price for CO2. And we need to move on that and not wait any more year. We need a price for CO2 now, symbolic. Imagine the effect, just $5 or $10 per ton, and a clear roadmap that this will come. This is the single most factor, hydrogen, energy transformation, which will have the biggest impact, of course, phasing out subsidies a little bit. And then, of course, we need to work together to create the right demand. We don't need subsidies. Look at the success story of the energy transformation in MENA. This is purely market-driven. Solar is the cheapest form of energy. In 25, the first sub 1 cent per kilowatt hour, and no subsidies, just market driven. But we need demand. So I would speak about indirect kind of subsidies, and this is quotas. So for example, for ESAF, the fact that UAE is considering possibly to introduce a quota, this is a massive factor. We need certainty, continuity, we need demand creation.
Yesterday you said something at the launch of the MENA Energy Outlook report, just to be clear for those who may have missed it, I highly recommend a download from your website. You said something very important, and that is that it takes time. It takes time, but it's coming. So how do we keep people focused? How do we manage expectations? How do we keep going when it gets hard? Because we are in that moment of, good news, bad news, and trying to keep everybody focused and moving forward. How do we do that?
It's a very good question, Ivana. Well, we started 17 years ago when solar wind was exotic, expensive, we have all we needed. Now it's happening. So the persistency, let's say, the patience is in our DNA. So I think what we need to do is to work in partnerships, in sound facts and figures, in solid communication, because sometimes what you see also on LinkedIn or others is really a pity, because there's so much noise and there's so much fake news and so much misinformation. So this is where we see our role. Misinformation is one of the biggest challenges, I think, of these times, and in our industry as well. So we need to, that's our core activity, to put together good, sound reports, thought leadership, facts and figures, and communicate to the right people with the right people. I think this is a factor which is often underestimated, but we work on it, we believe in it.
Back to your message on trust and confidence, right? The importance of the fact-based perspective, the data-based decision-making that you just talked about, Manuel. Now we have the benefit of that information. Now we have the benefit of the data. So let's put it to good use. Horst, with your permission, I will end with you on the challenges and opportunities. So something that has not yet been said, because I imagine you would agree with some of the items mentioned here, but go for it.
I think, look, I can just talk from my own experience. We started betting on hydrogen back end of 2019. I remember well because it was the whole, let's say, the whole COVID era somehow impregnated also the start of the hydrogen era. Well, the hydrogen era started much before, but let's say the hydrogen hype at the beginning.
That's right.
And we started developing projects at the time without really knowing what we will be earning with them. And people were looking at me and saying, why are you doing this? So first of all, we are doing it with our own money because we think that we need to move. And that's exactly what we say. We need to move. Then we need to focus. Then we need to make sure that investors keep up the speed and keep informed, because after 5 years and almost nothing happening, because we do agree that with all the announcements we had, what has happened is close to nothing. So with close to nothing happening, keeping investors piling in money, it starts to get a bit difficult. That's also what we have felt. At the beginning it was a fancy talk, hydrogen great.
Everybody wanted to be in, right? The number of people who had roles on LinkedIn to do with hydrogen. Remember those times?
And suddenly people said, hydrogen, and how do you earn money with that? We don't earn money with it, we just invest there. So that's one thing, and then of course funding needs to continue flowing, and you need to really develop projects from the ground on. So what we do, we invest in the development, greenfield projects from ground on, where we start with the offtake. So where is a clear offtake, and offtake can be CO2 linked or is mainly CO2 linked, so where there's a penalty, for example, that makes sense. So doing things that make sense and not reinventing the wheel. If there's an existing infrastructure for transport, if there are pipelines, if there is an ecosystem that's working, let's not try to redo everything, because that will not fly. It will not fly to say, okay, let's now suddenly change all the turbines of all the aircrafts. Because that will not happen, because they normally are bought to fly for 30 years. So this cannot happen. It can also not happen to change the trucks that bring the fuel to the planes. So all of this needs to stay in place, and we need to figure out how we can penetrate this without making it more expensive than it already is. I think that's groundwork from the ground, development, keeping investors up to speed, informing them about what you're doing, to keep the money flowing, and equity. You need a lot of equity, because no fund will invest, or very very few funds. There are a couple around, but it's homeopathic, you know.
Yeah, you need volume. Huh?
You need volume, you need equity to really invest, because only when things are de-risked, then the large funds with the LPs behind, with the risk-averse investment approach will come in. And this is something that we need to do now, because people are losing their patience on it, you know, and the appetite.
But it does take time, right? I mean,
That's
as
6 years
Cornelius
now.
just said, yeah. So we need to keep everybody focused. Look, very little will happen without governments. We don't have governments on this panel, but I think it's really key that we work with governments so that they stay focused and they are aware of the realities on the ground. Like you say, there's a lot of misinformation. Everybody reads the headlines. It seems that hydrogen is failing. If I just look at the news in the main media, it's all project cancellations, scandalous stories about, what have you. So how do we continue working productively with governments, realize our respective roles and responsibilities in making it happen, and really continue to motivate governments? Just think of what it's like to be a policymaker today, right? Complete recalibration of global priorities, geopolitics, strategic alliances. I mean, every day we wake up to some kind of news that we thought was unimaginable, impossible, just 2 years ago, 5 years ago. So lots of moving ground, shifting grounds, dynamics. How are you supposed to manage this? Who do you believe? What do you do first? How do you spend taxpayers' money responsibly? So I'll give you the opportunity, because I know we're on stream as well, so there will be a recording of all of this, to send a message to a government of your choice or policymakers at large. Raphael, I'll start with you if that's all right, because I know you've been very involved in the public-private collaboration. So if you could send one powerful message to a government or governments right now, what would it be?
Two things. I will echo also what Jorge said on financing. That relates to your current question. First, in terms of pure regulation, a number of governments have put things in place. Certain things don't work. It's absolutely obvious. Re-engineer them fast, very fast.
Rip the Band-Aid, right?
Rip it, change it, because we are in the early days. It doesn't work, change it with speed, because this is what it is all about. Second, still in the regulatory space, we are in a kind of divided world right now. Clean tech was a way to unite us. We shouldn't move from one world with fossil energy to another one with clean tech, as one takes it all, or I win, you lose. We need to think about win-win collaboration. If I take here, coming back, GCCU, I sell you hydrogen, maybe you buy my equipment. I don't see that necessarily happening. And regarding finance, COP28 was extremely important, and also Ivana with the Hydrogen Council, Sultan Jaber, you did a marvelous job. Hydrogen was put in the agenda of the COP here, in the Emirates.
Right.
And alongside with it, there was a very, very strong commitment from the financial community. And the financial community is as diverse as the world of clean tech, going from very large funds doing equity in project, what we're talking about, but we should not forget the business angel, the VC, the growth equity. You have picks and shovels that are part of the hydrogen equation, equipment company. In the gold rush, it's the picks and shovel that made the money. Not only the gold mines, same in the hydrogen economy. And we had a very interesting space in 2018-19 where you could invest and go with the new wave going up, valuation of hydrogen, a picks and shovel company. Now it went down. It's the right time to invest. We need to continue passing that message. It's a very good time to invest. Valuations are lower, and all these companies are out there and deserve to have funding for future, for our future, because, the climate bomb is ticking, and we shouldn't forget it. You can play it the way you want. You can say it's too expensive. No, it's there.
Yeah. Thank you.
So those
Raphael.
two things, and so governments need to remain committed on the financial part and supporting that space. It was initiated here, it should continue. I see it fading a bit.
Super. Thank you so much, Raphael. Very powerful. Conscious of time, sharp messages to the government. Joaquin.
So I agree that regulation could be improved, but sometimes if you decide to change regulation, you make it even worse, because then investors hesitate. Is this new regulation here to stay, or is it going to be changed again in the future? So my message would be, first remove the obstacles with existing regulation, even if it's not perfect. And we have a lot of obstacles, lacking of certain infrastructures, permitting procedures that are completely decoupled. We have a long value chain, but we have renewables, we have the hydrogen projects, the downstream, let's say, e-fuels projects, and then the midstream and final downstream infrastructures. And not all of them are synchronized, but mainly incentivize the demand. Because you can create, and we have in Europe, certain obligations and penalties, but there is a missing piece. We need to go to the final consumer, which is not necessarily the maritime company or the airline. It is the final consumer buying a car with green steel or buying an airplane ticket, and the impact is so negligible that if you can offset that with a tax incentive or tax rebate, you create immediate credibility of the demand, then the market, and then investments. And once you grow, levelized cost of hydrogen will decline very quickly, and then we don't need any support. This is what happens with renewables in electricity, and I think this is the case for
And that's so key to get the snowball moving, because then the governments can reach their objectives, whether it's security, climate, affordability, and so on. Manuel, what do you want to choose a specific government? Do you want to send a message to policymakers? Generally, what would you like to say?
So first of all, we haven't worked enough on the demand side. Let's say I talk to Europe for the sake of the argument. We have worked on the supply side. We put subsidies on factories and on production facilities, but we have done a poor job on the demand side. And especially the examples that Joaquin just mentioned. This needs to be fixed. That's the only place where I would like to have more regulation, because we don't have any or not enough. And for those that we already have, that we want to improve, the only ask I have is to see more accountability. So for the last years, time and again, the industry has been promised issuing permits, regulations, updates, changes. They never came on time. In the private sector, you do this 2 times, you find yourself another job. And we need to have this sense of accountability. There are people out there, and I'm looking more like Horst and his fellows, who have serious exposure in the market, and we are sitting there waiting. And this cannot continue like this.
So the follow through is really absolutely critical. Brilliant. Cornelius, what would you like to say to decision makers who are agonizing right now over where to prioritize and what to do with this hydrogen?
Yeah, I recently wrote an editorial on speed. Speed is becoming Europe's biggest disadvantage. You know, the bureaucracy and the timings, also Manuel was mentioning, speed is really a disaster, and the world is moving faster. China is doing impressive things, is continuing to over-deliver, the region here over-delivers, and Europe is losing out. So speed, we cannot continue to think in these time frames. This is really impossible, and it will inevitably lead to a further decline of Europe. Secondly, on the demand creation, people know what we've been preaching for several years on strategic hydrogen reserve, to introduce a similar kind of mechanism amount. If you talk about strategic gas reserve, 3 months consumption, imagine what happens if Europe introduces and gets its act together, different countries leading a strategic hydrogen reserve procurement that would immediately create several million, up to 3 million tons of hydrogen. Imagine the projects resulting of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very clear. And we didn't discuss that at the beginning, but of the 110 globally committed billions, 33 are in China. And the growth trajectory is absolutely immense. So we're looking at double digits and really far ahead of the rest of the pack. While in Europe, the movement has been slow. It's been slow. So I think going back to your point, Rafael, maybe that honesty, or Joaquin, you mentioned about this as well. What is and isn't working, and let's fix it. And if perhaps the governments alone do not have the solutions, the data, right, that direct insight, then let's work together to make sure that those solutions are really informed and based in business reality. Horst, you will have the last word again on this one. So what would you like to say to governments?
Well, I think there's no general comment. It's listen to the off-takers, look at what's happening, and also see the opportunity, because I don't see Europe increasing much its oil production. Europe is not very well known for huge oil production, right? We see that some parts of the world, without mentioning specific names, are focusing more on oil again. And from my understanding, there's another molecule available that can substitute in certain applications very specifically the use of fossil, or in combination solve part of the equation. So let's focus on that. You know, it's like let's not make our life more complicated. So the only way that Europe and also countries here they see it, here they have oil, but they still invest. Mohammed just said it. They still invest in this because at some point the oil will be over. And we will stay there with thousands of airplanes that should bring us from A to B, flying on what? On CO2 only? No. We need to make now the investments that it doesn't happen again, that we reach 2030, 2035, and then we look at each other and said, if we had done this and that at the time, we wouldn't be facing the situation now. And then everybody needs to rush, everything gets more expensive, unnecessarily. So that's the message, and I think everybody knows pretty much what they need to do. They just need to start doing it and collaborating and towing in the same direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you were saying, while some markets are agonizing, others are moving decisively, and one day the train will have left the station. Look, I'm actually quite energized by this discussion. I thought it was going to be, you know, everybody's down, very challenging and so on, but I'm not getting that sense from you at all. You're basically the antidote of some of the headlines. Yes, challenges, we spoke about them very openly, but focus, clarity, right? Solutions exist. We know what to do. We just need to make it happen. Now, if you look at our audience, practitioners, experts, leaders, builders who are actually making this happen every day, let's send them all a wish for 2026. What would you like to say to your fellow hydrogen builders for a successful year ahead? Horst?
That it is a profitable investment, and that we will be capable of making money with it.
Money. Excellent. Super wish for 2026. Cornelius.
Hydrogen is the best friend of renewables, so it connects all the sectors, and hydrogen is unstoppable. We need to be a bit patient, but I'm 100% sure and confident we'll make it happen together.
Super. So confidence. Excellent. Manuel.
As we are executing projects more and more everywhere, my wish is that everybody manages to execute safe and reliable. The last thing we need is a safety incident, and we are in the process of debugging and de-risking technology. Things can go wrong, things will go wrong, and I wish that this is all very much contained and under control.
Super. Joaquin.
I would say just keep believing, keep working. This is happening.
All right, brilliant. Rafael.
My take would be follow the sun. That's where it's happening. We don't have Asian friends on stage. They could have also been there. Look at what's happening in China. It's not a mirage. It's really happening. Look at what's happening in Japan, Korea, here in the Middle East, in Northern Africa. In Europe, it's a little bit behind because of regulation. I'm not talking about Northern America, where unfortunately money is going out of clean tech with a rollover effect. So the sun is going to provide us the hydrogen, and the sun countries are also driving the forces. It's happening, it's real, and we should put money on it, no doubt. It's there, it's going to happen. People who don't see it,
super.
Let's
so
work.
We wish you a safe, prosperous year, full of confidence, action, and lots of sun.
and
Lots
money.
of sun.
And money.
And money, indeed. I think that's the key. So please join me in thanking our panel for this fantastic conversation. So appreciate it.